story of Wuthering Heights follows a character named Lockwood, and Lockwood wishes to lease a piece of property called Thrushcross Grange. To do that, he goes to a nearby piece of property called Wuthering Heights, where he meets the owner of Wuthering Heights and Thrushcross Grange, Heathcliff. Heathcliff is an old and seemingly decrepit man who seems very, let's say, angry at the world. And Lockwood, he wants to know why. He's interested. So he talks to the maid, Nellie, to find out why is this old man so angry. So then Nellie tells a story about how Mr. Earnshaw found this child on one of his work trips named Heathcliff and brought him home to his two legitimate children, Catherine and Hindley. And these kids, they resented Heathcliff for taking some of their dad's attention away from them and onto him, who they didn't see as a legitimate sibling. Eventually, Heathcliff befriends Catherine, but can't win over Hindley. It's unfortunate. And it's kind of bad timing, because as soon as this kind of happens, Mr. Earnshaw dies, leaving the estate to Hindley, the male of the family, which is bad news for Heathcliff. And after that, there's even more bad news, because Catherine, his only friend, starts flirting with a guy from Thrushcross Grange named Edgar. And at home, Hindley treats Heathcliff like trash. He treats him like a servant, even though technically they're brothers. So Heathcliff does what anyone else would do and leaves. But what anyone else wouldn't do that he does is he comes back eventually with a lot more money, looking for revenge. Heathcliff then swindles Hindley and his son Hareton out of Wuthering Heights. So then he becomes the sole owner of the house that he was once tortured in. And in doing that, he makes Hindley a servant for the rest of his life to treat him the same way that he was treated. He treats Hindley this way until Hindley dies. Heathcliff then marries Isabella, Edgar's sister, giving him eventual control of Thrushcross Grange. They have a child together, named Linton. It's at this point that Catherine gives birth to a baby named Kathy, who ends up killing her in childbirth. This sends Heathcliff spiraling because he loved Catherine, and Catherine was his one true love. He was the only person that he ever actually loved. And that drives him mad. But as a safety precaution to keep his assets secure, he forces his son to marry Kathy. Then he keeps Kathy under lock and key in Wuthering Heights to make sure that Thrushcross Grange is never endangered. It's at this point that Kathy falls in love with Hindley's son, and they eventually get together. And Heathcliff doesn't even live to see it, because the memory of Catherine has haunted him to his core so much that he dies.